And we're back. Good morning. The time is now 5:30, and again we're following the latest out of Southern California this morning, where a massive wildfire continues to burn in the Angeles National Forest. 53 homes at this point have been destroyed. Another 12,000 still threatened by these flames as they continue to advance. It's called the Station Fire. It's killed 2 firefighters, and at this point, look at the bottom of your screen there, 105,000 acres burned so far, and it continues to grow. Residents who've lost their homes have begun to return, but for a lot of them, there isn't much left but ashes where their homes used to stand. The lack of wind, though, is at least keeping some of the flames from driving into the heart of some of the dense suburbs there northeast of Los Angeles. Fire crews have been setting some backfires. They've been spraying the fire with retardant at Mount Wilson, which incidentally is home to at least 20 television station transmission towers and radio stations and cell phone antennas as well. And they're worried if that mountain goes, they're going to lose a lot of the emergency communication capability that they have down there. So they're desperately trying to save that, as well as the homes and the lives that are in jeopardy right now because of this incredibly large wildfire burning there. So we're going to keep an eye on this fire as we continue with our other coverage this morning. And speaking of other coverage, we're following the wildfire that also is still burning in the Auburn area. Officials there say it's burned about 340 acres, so it's a lot smaller than the fire in Southern California, but it's a lot more destructive at this point. It is 70% contained, that's the good news, but it has destroyed about 50 homes and 10 commercial buildings. 3 people have been injured in this fire, and the cause is still under investigation this morning. 245 firefighters have battled the blaze so far. All evacuation orders, though, have been lifted for residents, so that's at least the good news. PG&E crews are continuing to work there to restore some of the power and the gas that was discontinued, obviously, when these flames ravaged this town. Yesterday, the governor, in fact, announced that they've established a local assistance center in Auburn to help victims. He toured the area yesterday. That center will be open beginning at 9 o'clock this morning. And we also found some photographs online, too, that gives us a ground perspective of the scene out there right now. Let's bring this full screen. This shows you one firefighter here in the foreground. Well, basically putting out hot spots in what's left of a home here. You see the above ground pool with some water inside and everything else charred, burned to the ground here. This home completely destroyed. Here's another photograph. This lady, her name's Lisa Avila, and you can see her obviously overcome with the emotion of seeing what's left of her home. Nothing but ash and rubble. Here, another shot of a firefighter working to put out hot spots again in what's left of a home here. You can see just the rubble in the foreground, all that remains of somebody's house. And here again, the heartbreaking toll that it's taking on people. This is Valerie Carter, who lives obviously in that area, looking through what's left of her home. And that's her son there, 3-year-old Brent, standing by, looking for anything that remains from his bedroom as well. Again, a heartbreaking scene out there in Auburn. Some of the latest photographs we'll share more with you throughout the morning as we get them. Meanwhile, now at 5:33, the latest now, developments in the J.C. Dugard case and the investigation of her suspected kidnappers, Philip and Nancy Garrido. Here's what we know at this hour. Police say they found a small bone fragment on the property next door to the Garrido home. We'll have more on that in just a moment. Also, county inspectors have now condemned the Garrido home. They're telling people to stay away, and we'll explain why in just a moment. Meanwhile, a woman who was kidnapped and raped by Garrido 23 years ago is speaking out now about her experience. We'll hear more from her in just a moment, but we do want to get back to that case of the bone fragment that was found on the property next door to Philip Garrido's home. See that hole right there? That's the hole that investigators dug, and apparently where they found that bone fragment. At this point, they're not sure if this is from a human or from an animal, but investigators are looking into that this morning. They'll be back out there again today. And again, authorities have been searching Philip Garrido's property and the one next door here for at least the past couple of days now. They're looking to see if there's anything there that could link Garrido to any unsolved crimes in the area. Now, county inspectors, you see that red tag on the door? County inspectors have condemned the home that Philip Garrido lived in. They've deemed it unsafe due to some substandard structures and buildings, as well as junkyard conditions, as they describe it. Officials say for now they're done searching the Garrido property and the neighbor's property next door, but they'll be back if evidence leads them back there. So they'll continue to keep that cordoned off as a crime scene. Meanwhile, we're also learning more about Philip Garrido's criminal past. He spent more than 10 years in prison for raping a Lake Tahoe woman back in 1976. Well, last night that woman spoke to CNN's Larry King about the attack and how she survived. Take a listen.
I was on my way to my boyfriend's house with dinner in my car. He asked me to stop at a grocery store and
Where was this?
In South Lake Tahoe. and he asked me to stop at a grocery store and pick up some coffee. And so I did.
Your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. And I did, and as I came out of the grocery store and got in my car, Philip knocked on my window and said, you know, I can't seem to get my car to start. It's cold. Do you think you could give me a ride? You know, which way are you going? And of course, he was going to go anyway, any which way I was going. He said, well, it's just around this corner. And so I said, well, okay. And I just turned around the corner and pulled over, and he slammed my head into the steering wheel and pulled out handcuffs. He took my keys out, threw them on the floor, and pulled out handcuffs and handcuffed me and said, I just want a piece of ass. If you be good, you won't get hurt. After he handcuffed me, he transferred me into the passenger seat. He pulled a leather strap out of his hair, and he tied my head to my knees. And he took me to a warehouse in Reno, a mini warehouse in Reno, in a very desolate area. After
How many hours were you as captive?
Almost 8 hours, I think. And in the back part of the mini warehouse where he had me, he had it set up to keep someone for a while. He had a mattress.
You're a pretty good observer, though. You remember.
Well, I only saw this on the way out, and then because I had to go back in and get dressed. So I went in and out.
Well, we're going to have continuing coverage, obviously, of this story. Developments seem to come out each day, so keep it tuned here to KRON 4 News. We'll keep you updated. Also, check out our website, KRON4.com. We've got an entire section there devoted to the latest developments in this case, so give it a look, KRON4.com. All right, at 5:37, let's get over to the Weather Center right now, where Drew Harmon is keeping an eye on your Tuesday forecast this morning. Another mild day in store. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning, James. Mild indeed to start off, and as we head towards this afternoon, for much of the Bay Area, things are going to be mild. We're not going to see any sort of storms. 70 degrees at the Bay and 63 degrees at the coast. So a nice mild and pleasant way to celebrate the three-day weekend. Taking a look at the time, it's 5:38 in the KRON 4 Morning News. Let's get a check of some traffic with George.
And with just 2 days to the countdown, it may be a 4-day weekend for a lot of people, as we anticipate that Friday will be a lighter than usual work day. Still doing pretty well with no problems. It's an easy commute there as well. Are we going to the newsroom, Paul? Is that where we're going? Going to break. Thank you. So the time is now 5:41. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on the other side.